Thank you very much. Important introductions. And so now I'll do a more fulsome introduction of our guest speaker. Imad Temeiza is a human rights defender and youth activist. He's a member of the Palestinian Boycott National Committee, the BNC, for Boycott, Divestment and Sanctions Campaign. Imad is co-founder of the Palestinian Postal Workers Union and has been elected as president of the union for several mandates. He's also secretary of the Communications Workers Union Palestine branch. Imad is a former member of the Secretariat of the General Federation of Independent Trade Unions Palestine and former head of its youth department. He has achieved many successes with his fellow union activists in advancing the rights of Palestinian postal workers and hopes and aims to continue to serve his membership to the best of his ability. He now holds the position of International Relations Representative in the Postal Workers Union that he represents. And he's currently, lucky for us, studying here in Canada, doing some studying of English at the University of Winnipeg. We're very happy to have you. Thanks for coming. Please welcome Imad.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Feel free to start with solidarity. 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 I'm not only student in Winnipeg University, I've been student of PPSWU before. I'm very proud to be a student of Canadian Union of Postal Worker. They teach me a lot. Union to union struggles, union to union relation started with Canadian Union of Postal Worker firstly in 2014 between my union and the Canadian Union of Postal Worker. Highlight point about that, most of speaker before mentioned a lot of information I want to go through too, and one thing missed. PPSWU sent a unique delegate to Palestine. Anybody know?
What?
Very different one. Nobody. I wanna send a big, great thank to Brother Ron, the indigenous representative in BC, who was going through the flotilla, the ships to Gaza last year. He is Canadian Union of Postal Worker. He's a postal worker. As Abdi mentioned, me too, I'm a postal worker, so I'm here to deliver a message. It's not a big message, it's just a small message. Maybe it's gonna be the first one. And maybe I can come back to send more for you. That's very important to be a postal worker. We are not delivering in Palestine, we deliver a message outside Palestine.
That's right.
That is, thank you very much. Thank you, PPSWU. PPSWU also have a project with Palestinian postal workers. They build the capacity of Palestinian postal workers through the union, and they spend a good budget there. QB Ontario and QB National, started the same issue. We just now, after I finished the tour of labor for Palestine, we're going to start more relation with unions, union to union relation. That's a good thing. And then I can go through my presentation. First question is, why to stand in solidarity with Palestinian workers? And some answers just started before me. There's a lot of information we should provide you, also to make it easier for you to support Palestinian workers. Specifically, I want to speak about work class because I am the representative of PTUC. PTUC is Palestinian Trade Union Coalition for BDS, and as you know, the BNC, the Boycott National Committee, have a lot of different appeals through our committees inside. So I'm the one who, from the labor movement, and carry out information about labor movement in Palestine, and carry out the message of worker class in Palestine. So firstly, I want to start with video, a short video from the real about the real situation in Hebron. Okay.
his body to wait. Let it go. Right now, he's just trying to go home. But because he's Palestinian, he has to go through this Israeli checkpoint. And to document life behind the wall.
Yeah, continued to shrink Palestinian losing time. That's the reality in the field. And for me as a Palestinian, apartheid is not enough to say that's an apartheid. It's not a good definition. We can find more and more strong definition for the apartheid in Palestine. Next, I want to go through some facts because we can see more about the Palestinian situation and the Palestinian history. Facts from the historical issue of Palestine, that is, Palestine was occupied in 1948. That's a controversial issue because now a lot of different organizations or definitions or something like that going to attack the Palestinian when they mention Nakba in their speech. But what is the reality? Do you have any historical facts that different that we have? The reality is Nakba is a new synonym of catastrophe. We added it to the English as a Palestinian. About 1 million Palestinians were displacement from their land, Palestine, in 1948. Also, the reality is coming through the map. What happened for Palestine since 1946 until 2012, and this is very old too. So the reality now is very different, as the video shown, because the video we just filmed last year, 2018. So imagine what happened to the Palestinians during the 4 photos. And what happened in the land, exactly. And what about the peace process, and what about the two-state solutions? Many questions we can ask through those maps about the reality in the field. Another fact, so my presentation is all facts, only facts from the field. Another very important fact that apartheid in South Africa was a picnic compared to what we have in the occupied Palestinian territories. That's not me. A very important man from South Africa was visited Palestine. So South African came to speak about how to compare the apartheid in Palestine and South African. And the one of South African is a picnic. So imagine what about us now, the situation of Palestine. How's it going there? To move to the other part of my presentation is very important about labor. So that's my specialized as a worker and a union president in the past 8 years. I spent as a union president in postal sector. Last year, 2018, just for the first time, Palestinian Statistics published some information about work class and labor movement in Palestine. And I want to go through the important thing of them because the press news or the press release was very tall and big, speaking about unions, speaking about membership, speaking about the history of federation in Palestine, and that's very big information. So I just carry up for you a small facts about that. You can go through Google and search about situation of workers in Palestine anytime you need. Okay, One of the important photos we should show the people, that is the checkpoint called 300, the Bethlehem checkpoint, which Palestinian workers used to cross every day 2 times to go for the work with the Israeli employers and to come back at 7 p.m. So they started usually at 4 a.m. at morning to catch up their work, and they line up and they walking across technology, machines, electronic gates, which product by HP, because that we asking to boycott HP. HP is a very bad company, playing a role with the Israeli army in Palestine against Palestinians. So HP involved in the apartheid of Palestine. Facts about the number of Palestinians who work with the Israeli employers. The big number, we have like more than 100,000 of Palestinians working within the Israeli employers. The big problem with that we have a number of them have a permission, so they are legally working, and the rest of them have no permit, so illegal workers. And there's a big difference between both of them. Some of them, the one who have a permit, have some rights, like in the labor rights, and the others have no rights, no any rights more. And usually the Israeli employers looking for those who is illegal because they are very cheap and there's no rights to give them back. As I mentioned before, inhuman processing daily passes, military checkpoints, work hours more than 12 hours, and the legal hours is 8 everywhere. The legal hour to work with the Israeli employers is 8 hours, and the legal hour for work in Palestine is 8 hours. But Palestinians spend time in the checkpoints 2 times a day. That's not included in their daily hours. Here in Canada, and according to any labor code internationally, the time you spend from the beginning, from your home to back afternoon is included sometime, or you are under the insurance, under the protection of the employer. So there's different, yeah. Also, Israeli employers pay just 70% of the legal wage in Israel to the Palestinian workers. So that's kind of slaves they brought to work in their places and no more payment. I'm just speaking about the legal workers. The illegal workers never had received 70%, maybe 50 or less. The big problem here, so if you can say my point number 5, about how the Histadrut. Histadrut is the Jewish Labor Federation in Israel, collecting 1% from the Palestinian salary as a union fees to represent them, but never do that or represent them because they are non-Jewish, and the federation only for the Jewish people. Another issue that we have a Palestinian partner who involved in this problem too. The federation who received 50% of the 1%, that's the PGFTU. So because that, Palestinian workers and labor movement of Palestine asking usually to boycott the Histadrut and no more relation with them until they respect the human right of Palestinian and the worker right. Is it the worker right is the human right? Are you agree with me? Of course, that is. So also, you know that is in the work, health and safety is very important. Imagine we have more than 100,000 Palestinians working in Israel, never had any training or education about health and safety. I founded here the union every time giving training, giving information, education sessions for workers in Canada or across Canada about everything new. And imagine that 100 or more 100 Palestinian workers, no education for them, and no unions. They cannot organize themselves because they already paying 1% of their fee, of their salary as a fees to the Histadrut. And Histadrut doesn't give them any legal aid, any representative. And when some Palestinian worker injured or have any sin in the workplace, they send him back to the Palestinians area for treatment. So they are not covered anyway. More photos from the checkpoints. This checkpoint near Hebron, Al-Khalil, called Tartumia checkpoints. People line up at 3 a.m. morning, including women too. We have some Palestinian women working with Israeli employers in agriculture field. Going to another fact, Palestinian work class lost 250 workers during 2015-18. They are killed by the Israeli IOF. IOF means Israeli Offensive Force. It's not defensive force, never been defensive. They are offensive already. Also, we have more 10,000 prisoners of Palestinians work class in the Israeli jails. Imagine what happened for their families, for their kids. Maybe the presentation will show you some facts about that. I know that is Toronto usually have a lot of actions for Gaza. Most of the people know the situation of Gaza and how it's going there. I just mentioned some information from Gaza about the siege. That's 2 million Palestinians or more under the siege since years ago. And countries all over the world are silent. No actions, no pressure against Israel to make human rights in Gaza going well. Israel also take actions against the people in Gaza and carry out wars, not 1, 2, 3, more, every day. And one of those wars was Israel used an illegal weapons and attacked the UNRWA schools that's shown in the photo here. In my presentation, usually I'm using videos because videos bring more truth and more information and make sense for people. One video from Gaza speaking about situation of unemployment youth and also giving some statistics about the percentage of youth unemployment and the salaries and the situation of water and more different information from Gaza by these videos, very short. Okay, videos in Arabic but have subtitle.
لا تزال ملامح الحياة في قطاع غزة غير مستقرة، حيث أن الحصار والسيطرة الخارجية على الحدود البرية والبحرية، ظروف الانقسام والعقوبات المفروضة على غزة ولدت أزمة اقتصادية خانقة ومعدلات فقر وبطالة تعتبر من الأعلى في العالم، إضافة إلى عدم توفر مياه صالحة للشرب، إذ أن 96% من السكان لا تصلهم مياه صالحة للشرب عبر شبكات التوزيع، مع الإشارة إلى أن أزمة الكهرباء وعدم توفرها إلا خلال ساعات محدودة وقليلة خلال اليوم، بالإضافة للأزمة الصحية وعدم توفر الخدمات الصحية والأدوية الكافية، وازدياد العقبات أمام المواطنين للسفر للخارج لتلقي العلاج.
Fundraisers can solve or can supply Gaza with 8,000 job opportunities. Out of, we have 18,000 graduate every year, and we have big number of unemployment. So that's not a solution and cannot work forever. Oslo Agreement, or the big deal, as you like. Yeah, it's a small caricature done by my friend, his name is Suhaib Mansour from Kalkiya. He's very famous and known in Palestine. Oslo deal, I'd like to say Oslo deal usually. What happened for Palestinians who work under Oslo Agreement, or who is in the other side of the issue, not of the other side of Palestine. Palestine have no sides. Palestine is all Palestine. But in the other side of the issue, where those people who is working under the Palestinian Authority or under the Palestinian legislation. Facts from there about the number of unemployment, close to 500,000, 500,000, as I saw yesterday, and that statistics is from 2017. The unemployment in Palestine was 27.7 in 2017, and if you go for detail in West Bank and Gaza, in West Bank was 17.9%, in Gaza was 43.9%, and the video is more than modern. The video I show just. So there is another big statistics about the situation now. Video just happened in the end of 2018. Facts about women. In Jerusalem, we have, in East Jerusalem, 85% of women have no jobs, because Jerusalem controlled completely by the Israelis, and they are usually not allowed the Palestinians to have any jobs, especially the women also. So women have no right to work there. And another fact, that women cannot cross the checkpoints every day to go to West Bank to work with the Palestinian organizations or with the Palestinian Authority, like in education and health and things, and to carry to back afternoon in the checkpoint again. That's another different things. So there's people who go through the checkpoint at morning, and there's people should go into the checkpoint also at morning from Jerusalem to the Palestinian area, to the Palestinian Authority area, Area A, That's fact about women, unemployment women. Facts about the wages from Palestine. Most of you are workers in Canada, and workers and negotiators are usually going to negotiate about wage situation of workers and things. And our negotiators in the labor movement, they succeeded to have this number of minimum wage in 2012. Unfortunately, in the same time, the poverty line was, as you saw, 2,293, but we succeeded to have 1,450. There is a big gap between both of them, because the Labor Federation who carried the negotiation with the Palestinian Authority that time haven't any workers inside. They're just receiving funds from the Histadrut. And I just put one point about $1 equal 3.62 Israeli shekel. So to imagine, to make some accountment about the situation of Palestinian workers. I know you want to ask me about how Palestinians workers deal with that. Maybe they can borrow money because the community is very close together working, and maybe can find another job afternoon, like what I was did, sorry. I used to work with a supermarket afternoon after I finished the post, and I worked 2 times a day until midnight. So usually I cannot see also my children before weekend or a little bit of time. Violence against women is extremely high in Palestine from both authorities. Palestinian and Israeli. And I carried 2 photos, one from Ramallah, the other from Jerusalem. And also, men are 4 times than women in the labor markets in the Palestinian area. And usually women received 50% of the minimum wage I showed you before. So especially in the kindergarten and QB, when they met the kindergarten union in Palestine, understanding all the position there. And now I can say that thank you for QB because they start relation union to union with kindergarten union in Palestine just after their visit. One new fact about children in Palestine. During my visit to Canada, I heard that it's illegally to leave your children alone at home. One of the 2 parents should be with them. But imagine that is, we are Palestinians, sent 69,400 children under 17 age to work. And violence also against children is really high. And you can see here 2 photos, one about children who's in the war class, and the other about a kid from Hebron, his last name is Al-Junaidi, was jailed from Bab Zawiya, which is Area A, last 2 years. And if you want to ask me about why Palestinians send their children to work, those children, one of the parents may be killed by the IOF or jailed in the prison. I told you before, 10,000 Palestinian of the Palestinian working class are in the jail. So if the father in the jail, or the father was killed, or the mother in the jail, or the mother killed, so what the family can do? Public sector. I found that in Canada, 2 or 3 unions organizing people in public sector or workers. PSAC, QB, MO, maybe a uniform? No, PSAC and QB. But imagine that in Palestine, public sector employees have no union. Especially the postal workers, we are an exception union because specific. And in 2014, the Palestinian government banned the Union of Public Employees after 2 days strike and field of negotiation. And they take a decision to ban the union. No more union in the public sector. Imagine also in 2017, President of Palestinian Authority issued a law against the strike. 8 sectors in Palestine have no right to strike anymore. One of them is the health sector. Coming to a very important issue, that's BDS. BDS National Committee, PNC, the largest Palestinian civil society coalition. In BDS, as I told you before, and I mentioned in my speech when I began, we have a special labor movement carry out a call to boycott the Israeli Federation, the Jewish Federation, Histadrut. That happened in 2011. Unfortunately, we have a sister here. Her name is Hind Awad, was in that meeting in 2011. And since that time, this is the first time I met her again. Thank you, Hind. Palestinian unions, independent unions in Palestine, and different kind of unions, except the PPSWU, get together and agree to issue a call or an appeal to ask every single union, international union, to start action or to be involved in the BDS and to support the Palestinian, especially to boycott the Histadrut and to make a pressure for this federation until respect the human right of Palestinians. And here part of the appeal, especially you can go through the one who is in red color. What is the union in Palestine ask international union for? And the trade union coalition of BDS called PTUC, Palestine Trade Union Coalition for BDS. Here's some of the international and Canadian union who are involved in BDS. As Sister Lisa mentioned in her speech, or as you know, all of you know maybe, about the Canadian unions involved in BDS. One of them is QB Ontario, Unifor, and Canadian Union of Postal Workers. The other, we have a big relation with CUT, COSATU in South Africa, and there's more and more. There are a big list of unions. They're just a sample of them. The next slide is going to show film about postal worker. I know that is here a lot of PPSWU leaders. So a short film about postal workers who are working in public sector in Palestine, and they have issues, and they have problems, and they fighting for their rights. One of the route we fight through, that's the videos. We show our issue to the people, and here we are to show you also, because we need your support and solidarity with Palestinians. Thank you very much for that, for your patience. And usually unions demand for decent work, decent jobs, but Palestinians demands is different. Decent life and decent jobs. Because that we show you facts about Palestine. Because that we're asking for solidarity. Because that we're asking for your support to the Palestinian issue. We're asking for your support to more pressure in the apartheid country, more pressure in the Israeli regime, more boycott, more pressure in the Histadrut too as a unions, more boycott. And I told the CLC here, no more speech for the Histadrut in your conferences until they respect our rights. Please do it since the CLC started. No Palestinian have given a speech in the CLC conferences. What was our view? You don't like to hear us?
We do. We want to.
And good news that the CLC gonna send a figure mission or like a funding fine mission to Palestine soon to see the situation there. They are too much welcome. Too much welcome. Finally, I just ask you to start now, support the Palestinian workers, support BDS and support the PTUC, support as you like, that depends to you. I cannot ask you how, but I just told you why. If it's enough, as Abdi say, enough is enough. As I hear usually when I participate with workers in demonstration or activities, they say to the government, enough is enough. And we also, as a Palestinian, see to the occupation, enough is enough.
Enough is enough.
That's right.
Yeah. Unimportant things before I finished, I just finished, yeah? Hagai Al-Ad, who is the executive director of Beit Salem. You know Beit Salem, guys? Israeli human rights center in Palestinian Territories. I was volunteer there in 2005 to 7, maybe 2 years or more. I don't remember exactly, but they give me a camera to make films or to record some things when the Israeli violation human rights of Palestinians. Hagai Al-Ad say that is the election happened now. It's a big violence. 6 million Israeli gonna elected a parliament and a government to control 12 million people in the country or in the area.
Million?
12. That's the count of Palestinians and Israelis who live in the region. So, is it fair? Not fair. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much to Imad for that presentation.